Trust you to. Here we go.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm very happy to be here. Okay, let's do this. Where I am, God is, and where I stand, God is standing strong. Where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me. As me, where I sing, God is. Where I dance, joy lifts my feet. And where I live, beauty's flowing freely in and out and through me. As me. For where I doubt, God is the faith in me. And where I cry, God is the comfort there. And where I seek, God is the answer. Here and now, forever and ever and ever. Where I speak, truth is, and where I work, love is my career. And where I play, God is playing boldly in and out and through me. As me. Oh, oh, do 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 do. Hey, where I am, where I stand, where I play, where I work and breathe and move and be, where I sing, where I dance, my dance, my dance, wherever I go, where I pray and take and give and live. God is, God is, God is, God Okay, service over.
You are?
learned a long time ago, the universe has a funny sense of humor. We set our intention to get closer to spirit through prayerful moments. They give us, we find an opportunity to really get centered in that moment. Through world distractions. I know sometimes when we're in the meditation room, it's pretty, it's not soundproof. So when there's meditation happening and then there's music and talking out here, you can all hear that. So it's just an opportunity to go deeper and to center into that God space. Because where we are is where God is, right? I'm Reverend Lynda. This, I'm so moved. Thank you, Sue, by bringing that song here. Today I want to talk about a bouquet of flowers. I know this community likes flowers. Hi, Marla. I have a lot of flowers in my house. One of my favorite places to get flowers, other than the garden, is Costco. They always have such a variety. Oh, look, here comes our. How beautiful those are. And I've been moved by the peonies that have just been popping up everywhere in different yards. We have some in our yard, and as far as I know, they're volunteers, because I didn't plant them. And there's some that have these really wide, colorful petals with these little things, and the petals go super wide. And then we have others that are like little puffballs that look like little pom-poms. So, and they're still peonies. And that reminds me of kind of our community, right? We're all CSL community members, EVCSL community members. And yet we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different joys, different heartaches, different wounds probably in our past. But yet this room is different every time we have a gathering. We have a different fragrance, or a different perception, or a different game of duck, duck, goose happening with our emotional support friends. She got you, Marla. She did. So our theme today is from the many to the one. Each of us adds to the bouquet. And the science mind principle there is unity / the individual, or individuality. It's going to test my ability to speak. So really what that means is one source, many expressions. One spirit, one God, many expressions. And that's what I see when I see this community. It's what I see when I go out into a garden or into the forest. And we have one particular flower in our community that I'm going to be sad to see not here anymore. Mr. Brick.
I'll still be here.
He'll be here in spirit. His last Sunday physically here, at least for some time. And so, Brick, I want to thank you for all that you've added to the lighthouse and our community, and to Reverend Donna's and my life.
Love guys.
Yeah, but he'll be back. We know he'll be back. And our garden is not going to be any less vibrant. It's just going to be absent that flower. Still vibrant, still fragrant, still an expression of the one. A couple of weeks ago, Reverend Donna was talking about this 3 feet of space. Some of you were here. About how that 3 feet of space is our divine birthright. It's our personal energetic space, and that nothing can penetrate that space when we're truly centered and grounded in our power and our expression as individual expressions of spirit. She talked about, moving through the world with shoulders back, which she tells me often, shoulders back, shoulders aligned with my hips, and my power center forward, and allowing my heart to lead and not my head. Or if I'm a dog, well, the other side, right? But how do we recognize each other as humans? We know how dogs recognize each other, but how do we recognize each other as humans? How does that happen? And I've been thinking a lot about that space. And that God-centeredness, that 3-foot space, and we talk about 3 feet, it's not a metaphor, it's not something that we're trying to, use as imagery. It really is measurable. This is something that is scientific and is very real. Hold on, I lost my notes. Heart Math, the Heart Math Institute. Have any of you heard of the Heart Math Institute?
Yeah.
A couple of hands in the room. The Heart Math Institute. Heart Math. So think of the heart and think of mathematical rhythm or measurable experience, measurable energy. And they've been studying the electromagnetic field of the heart now for many, many years. And they found that the heart generates the strongest rhythmic electromagnetic field in the human body, and that field extends 3 feet. And so when I think about that space that Reverend Donna was describing, I'm understanding something about the physics of my space. And Heart Math teaches that, I'm reading here because I want to make sure I get this right, that the field carries emotional information and that it broadcasts coherence or incoherence. I'm either aligned with the source of my being or I'm not aligned with the source of my being. It communicates truth, this field does, before words can form, before I can assert my own individuality from up here into the experience. And I thought, and when I was reading about that, I said, well, of course it does, right? Science of Mind teaches us that. Ernest Holmes says that each one of us is an inlet to God and an outlet to God. An inlet to God, to spirit, and an outlet to God and spirit. So, philosophy, science of mind, heart math, physics. That we are constantly broadcasting and receiving through this electromagnetic field of the heart. And when I'm aligned with spirit or my source, then I'm feeling coherent, I'm feeling centered, and I'm feeling grounded. And when I'm not aligned, and I'm not feeling that, whether I'm feeling it or not, others around me are certainly able to feel that. If any of you have animals at home or here, and when one of the first times I noticed this was with our cat Grace. You'll hear me talk about Grace a lot. She's a little guru. And, as soon as I was just talking about work and I was getting a little animated and she started getting really nervous. And I was like, okay. So she doesn't like it when my energy is not centered and not grounded. And why it took an animal instead of others for me to notice that, I don't know, but it did, and so it made me start recognizing that that's really a thing. And so I had a nice demonstration of this a couple of weeks ago. I had to take I'm a safety manager by day, by week day, and I was traveling. I had to travel to Texas. It's not my favorite environment. Regardless to say, it is rare that I don't have an interesting experience either traveling to or from the South. It's just something, it's just the weather or plane maintenance, whatever it might be. And so this last 2 weeks ago when I was traveling, my experience on a late Friday night, I was having company coming in that Saturday morning, and I was supposed to arrive in very late the Eugene airport at 11:30 about. And my connection flight, something happened, and I was not able to make the connection. And so what that resulted in was, at the time, me being in an airport without my luggage, not knowing where I was going to stay the night, not knowing what was going to happen if I had to stay the night. I just didn't have a whole lot of information at that point. And my stress meter was in the red. And when I approached the gate agent, typically when my stress meter's in the red, if you know me, all sarcasm is typically my go-to. I'm really good at it. And, but I took a moment, and there really wasn't a point. I was tired, and I was just honest with the gate agent. I said, I am super upset right now. I said, I feel like I'm shaking on my inside. And, I'm just super upset. And he did something. He asked me to step to the side with him. And so there wasn't a counter between us anymore. And he looked me right in the eye and he said, if you don't stay calm, I can't help you. And I had a lot of opportunity to go so many different ways in that moment because I was calm. And it was like, kind of, okay, just pretend he's an officer. Yes, sir, no, sir. And we went back and ultimately I remained calm, and ultimately he helped me. Solutions. He had a hotel room for me. He was able to direct me to the correct person to help me get my bag the quickest. Helped me understand the flight the next day. And as later on that night, it ended up being, all these inconveniences, by the way, ended up being for the best. Can any of you guess the moral of that story? It was definitely in my highest good. But in that moment, I could not remember that. I was not feeling available to God. I mean, you wouldn't have told me that then, but now I'm thinking my antenna was totally being interfered with by all of this noise that was happening in stress, in cortisol, in the physical response to upset and the unknown. And I was in contemplation that night, and I thought to myself, wow, I was a sneeze away from righteous indignation. Like a sneeze away. And I didn't know it, but he did. He did. And that seemingly controlling thing that he did, at the time I was thinking, okay, he's going to take charge, right? But he did me a favor. He actually did the thing that I needed the most, was to remember and to be brought back centered and grounded, right? And he was exercising that heart electromagnetic receptor of his own, and then also the broadcaster. And did it necessarily feel great at the time? No, it didn't. It didn't. It felt like somebody was trying to get in the way of my interference and make me straighten out. Wow, imagine that. Imagine that. Little upside the head, sort of. I had one of those this morning. Come back in a couple of weeks, you'll hear about it. But ultimately, that's what, I guess the invitation is to remember that we're always broadcasting and always receiving as part of this great expression of life. And it is really easy for me. I have a pattern and a programming of playing small in moments when I get stressed out. Like, I feel like I'm not equipped. I'm not equipped for these situations. And maybe sometimes I'm not physically equipped. Like, I don't sit in the exit row because I know myself better to know that I don't know if I could step into that objective emergency or if I'm gonna freeze. I don't. So I don't sit in the exit row. But does that mean I'm not equipped to move through the world with unexpected and upset on a daily basis? I mean, I look around outside, and is it really without expectation to think that the opportunity for upset and confusion isn't there in every moment? When we are now living in a world with so many people and information going so fast, Mark said it a couple of weeks ago about the Facebook notifications and the email and all of the different ways that information is coming to us. And so what I have to turn to in that moment is the same thing that a flower in a bouquet has to turn to, which is the light, the sunlight, that source of, that one source that gives life and brightness to so many expressions. And each one of those expressions has a purpose. Each one. And without each one of them, it would not be the same garden. It would not be the same community. It would not be the same experience that I had that ultimately was for my highest good with the gate agent who was not my favorite human in the moment, but ended up being only one of the many, many angels that I was ready and willing to recognize on my way home after that. I was so tired the next morning and somebody gave me pancakes. And I was in a place to receive it and recognize it and be grateful for it and tell that person how grateful I was instead of, walking through my zone of inconvenience and upset. I had that choice. So, take a deep breath. How is remembering your individual expression serving you? Where in your life are you showing up as the sunflower, turning toward the light, when someone else might be trying to get you to be the shamrock in the dark? Or where are you unsure of whether or not to bring your full self because you don't know if it's the right thing? Where you now know you can. Yes. Liza.
When I was beginning to listen to your story, I was listening to it, and I've been practicing be here now, not be here the last couple of days. And I've been reading my book, Light Body, which is really powerful. And when you were talking about how you were there and you were just on that precipice, and the agent brought you back, right? Like you became the, all of a sudden you were able to become the receptor, like you're able to receive at that moment. And it reminded me of, I believe it was Friday, and I'm on my bus, I'm a school bus driver. And I have this award system that I'm doing with the kids. And this is my very first year. They're my first group, just like, brand new and working with the students, and it's a very slow process, right? To get to know them and try to find your way. And it's close to the end of the school year. We have like 9 days left or something like that. And I'm a little frustrated. And so I'm gonna, make this big announcement, get them, like on point and all this kind of stuff. And I stand up and everything I was gonna say, because I was a little bit upset, sort of went away. It was kind of weird. Everything that I thought I was gonna say, I didn't say it. And it just kind of like that moment of just, and it wasn't something that I was really aware of, but it just happened because I think it was kind of, I let go. And I just told him how I felt, I told him that I care about y'all. And I said, you're my first students, and I care about how, you grow and things like that, and I share with them. And I started crying. I didn't want to cry. And all of a sudden, they just all rushed from the back of the bus. They just all rushed and just gave me a huge hug.
And it was just like the greatest thing, you know? It was just like when I let go of that whole control and all that kind of stuff, and just allowed myself to kind of like receive and just allow myself to just, you know, just to be there with them, you know, like, it was really special. And, we started continuing our bus ride, and all the, a lot of the little things that they were doing, it just kind of washed away, and we were just singing, and we were just like, just being present and stuff, and it was just like, being here now, not being here, really allows you to be the receiver, you know, and just being present, just to receive, and be more of your authentic self, instead of letting this control this. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a great story, thank you. Pure hearts of little ones, and how willing they are to teach and to love. To love. Yeah. Anyone else? Sue?
So I just had one of those moments right before I got up to sing. And so I've been on quite the journey. I broke up with my 10-year relationship, and I had no money left. I had an accident 3 years ago that took away my career, and haven't been able to get work. So I took that as a sign that it wasn't meant for me. It was meant for me to do something else and go down a different path. And so I felt very called to take a flying leap into the unknown, fearlessly, with very little money, basically just a credit card, Social Security to pay my bills. And this magical thing happened that took me to Spain and Italy. It was totally magical. And I'm like, okay, now where next? And I came back to California to check in with my family, my kids, my grandson, pick up some things, headed up to Shasta, and then landed here. And I really have no plan because I'm on spirit time. And I'm waiting, which is challenging at times because I'm a human being. But I'm really trying to stay in the flow, and it's difficult because it's difficult when I am around people who don't get it. And they're like, why aren't you working? Why aren't you doing this? And it's fear, all this fear coming at me. And I've been really practicing staying grounded through it. And this morning I got a text from my cousin. My cousins live up in Washington, and I was like, okay, well, I feel like I need to get out of the place where I'm staying in because it's kind of a little bit awkward and I have nowhere to go, so let's go north to see my cousins. And both of them were like, well, this is happening now, and this is happening, and so maybe another day. And then the younger one, I was like, okay, well, I'll go to her first. And she had already said it was okay, but this morning it was like, well, we have a lot of things to do this month because we were preparing to go on vacation next month. So what exactly is your plan? And you know, in that moment, I was like, wow, where's that unconditional love? And then I started to go down the rabbit hole, and my immediate was like, nope. I know who I am. I know why I'm here. I know who sent me here, and whatever is meant to be will be. I will be taken care of. I'm not jumping down the rabbit hole today. So, yeah, that was the story.
Thank you. Unconditional love. How'd
Yeah.
you know? That was good. I was going to wrap up my talk with unconditional love. We have time for one more. Anybody else? Reverend Donna?
Oh, okay.
I thought I saw your hand. No?
Oh, it's just
Stretching?
Stretching.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Now you're stretching verbally.
Uh,
I really enjoyed your talk. It reminded me of, I think most of us have probably heard that story from Mr. Rogers saying that, you know, when you're in an emergency situation, his mother told him, when you're in an emergency or you're scared, look for the helpers. Look for the helpers. And your story reminded me of that no matter what the situation is, we are always surrounded by legions of angels. We're surrounded by, and they show up as the guy behind the counter, or the person giving you the pancakes, or maybe the person whose kid is crying, and you can observe that, wow, they're having a bigger challenge right now than I am. We're in the same situation, and I can pull myself up and out of my own spiraling thinking of, oh, my life is so bad. When I can look outside and say, oh, well, you know, could be worse, right? It could be worse. And where are my helpers? Oh, they're everywhere. They're everywhere all the time. When I can step out of my own way, when I can remember to align, when I can remember who I am, then I can remember that I'm not alone in this world. And that there is always a spiritual support happening, and it shows up as the people around me, the situations that I find myself in. The other thing that I loved about your talk was you said, in not in so many words, but you said that when you showed up authentically, other people showed up authentically. So when I can show up in my heart space, that gives permission and makes it safe for the others around me to show up in their heart space too. And that's a great place to live. That's a beautiful place to be spending time, is in our heart spaces with each other. So thank you for your talk today.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Donna. Unconditional love. It's like that ribbon that ties the bouquet together. Ernest Holmes says that love is the sole impulse for creation. I was talking about this with Reverend Donna yesterday. She goes, is it the sole impulse as in the only impulse? Or is it the soul impulse? And I thought, oh, same. So, let's close. Place a hand on your heart. I want you to feel around you your 3 feet of sacred space. Feel that field. And can I take it a step further with Rumi? And can I feel that field as it exists as a space between right and wrong? Affirm silently to yourself, my heart broadcasts the truth of my being. I stand in God. I love without condition. I add beauty to the bouquet. And so it is.
And so it is.